evening and welcome to Golden Goal TV. Things are looking a little bit different this evening, as you will find out. I'm first going to hit the intro and then I'm going to pass it to George.
Kicking way to do so. Can it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They did it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones. Andrew Townsend!
A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends an immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
I think we're live.
We're live, mate.
We are.
Cool. Evening that always happens. I never know because I'm just blaming not being able to see. My name's not Hugh, but we'll move with that. Evening, everyone. Welcome to Golden Goal. We are back. You had WrestleMania. That was a massive event. Not compared to this. The amount of people I've got on today, it's going to be a good show. We're going to review some of the games from last weekend, and we're going to go on to preview some of the games coming up. First of all, let me introduce you to my guests. So first of all, we have Johnny. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, George. Are you?
Yeah, all good. I'm lucky you're on, mate, because last night some of the conversation we was having, the discussion we was having about Aaron Ramsdale. So I'll grass you up in a sec about that. Thinking Nick Pope's better than Aaron Ramsdale. But yeah, also we have Lee. How are you, mate?
I'm really good, mate. Thank you for having us on here, mate. Really
pleasure.
Lovely to be here.
It's been planned for ages. I never got round to doing it. So
No bother, mate. No, it's great to see you all.
Yeah. Well, I would say the same, but I can't. So
Oh, Jesus, mate.
Oh no!
We'll talk about Jesus.
You mug me off straight away.
Right, and then we've got my good old friend Ray. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Thank you again for having me on.
No problem.
Just should be a good chat, shouldn't it? Lots to talk about. So yeah, buzzing for it, mate.
Yeah, and I left him to last, not because I forgot he was here, just because he's an absolute lifesaver. And he's going to be sitting in the same block with me at the women's semi-final. It's Sam. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Excited for things to look a little bit different. Got lots planned. Got lots to talk about, I'm sure. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, we have. So we will start. We'll start with the elephant in the room. We'll start with the big game. We'll start with the Arsenal-Liverpool game. Where do I start?
At
Lee,
the beginning.
Right, Lee. So we'll start at the beginning. So,
Yeah.
What did you think of the game generally? Like lineups? Did you think it was all it was kind of going to be an obvious lineup? That wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think any of us really expected Saliba to be around, and of course he wasn't. So it was probably as strong as we could have expected. Quite nice to see Jesus from the start. There would have been a bit of a toss-up. Certainly for me, I might have played Trossard from the start, but it's very much a case of, it's nice having options to start with.
Yeah,
Just generally, it was really good to see a positive lineup going out at Anfield.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it could have either been Jesus for Trossard or either way round. I know there was a lot of talk of Martinelli maybe swapping out for say like a Sissoko and that, but then when they saw Hey Arnold at right back, it was like, no, you can't leave Martinelli out against him.
No.
That would have been a crime. So yeah, Ray obviously got a nice early goal, set I've never heard Liverpool so quiet.
Yeah, it was a perfect start, really, wasn't it? We
Yeah.
had to go there, impose ourselves, and quieten the crowd. And for 35 minutes, mate, I thought we'd done that incredibly well. We were completely dominant, in my opinion. I think they had one chance that I can remember, Andy Robertson shanking it. But other than that, mate, it was a pleasure. And it's always great to see Arsenal go to grounds like that where we have struggled in the past and just set our stall out nice and early, and actually, just impose ourselves. So obviously, I'm sure we'll get into what happened later, but in terms of the start we made, couldn't complain, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, the way Martinelli, I thought there was a bit of luck with the goal, in sort of the position he got in, but at the end of the day, you got to put those chances.
You have to be ready for it, don't you? You have to be ready for it. That's it.
What I think is different with Arsenal this season, I know we drew, and we'll come into that, but the times when our players are taking chances at these big stadiums, it's completely changed. Like last season, I watched Arsenal plenty of times not take their chances. Like even in the Liverpool game where we got kind of easily beat in the end, there was a couple of those chances in that first half. If they took them, it could have been a different story. But so Johnny, obviously, I know you love to give Arsenal credit. Absolutely, It's like a pastime of yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you and Richard Keys, I think you might be related. But obviously, Arsenal scored the first goal, and then Jesus resurrected on Easter Sunday. I've been trying to get that into a conversation on the last few podcasts, and it just seemed to fit there. I think we was having that discussion, like how important Jesus could be coming up to towards the end of the season. What do you think?
Well, yeah, he'll be a massive player in the run into the end of the season because he kind of links all the front players together. But I mean, I think now Trossard's in. If he gets injured, it wouldn't be the end of the world for Arsenal because when Trossard was playing up top, or Martinelli was kind of interchanging with him, it did seem to work quite well. I think it offered a bit of a different dynamic, but I think it is a massive boost to Arsenal that he's back and he's playing well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's good. Like I know he's playing the court kind of a different position. He's got a different job at Arsenal what he had at Man City. I don't think realistically he was ever their number one guy. But when you look at Jesus' stats, actually, even for City, I think Man United have just scored. I think you'd be surprised with actually his stats, because he did score quite a few goals, and people forget Jesus scored their goal from, I'm sure it was in the semi-final of the Champions League. So if you could have a fully fit Jesus for a season, it's not just the goals he scores, it's across to get what he does off the ball as well.
Well, yeah, he presses well, doesn't he, from the front, and he can link the play, but he's not always the most clinical. He's not the most clinical striker, but at Arsenal he gets enough chances to score a lot.
Yeah, and Pep always used to play him in the big games as well. I don't know whether he would start every week for Man City, but he always used to feature, whether it was through the middle or on the right. He always used to play.
And that's what I mean. That's a big name. That's a big game player. Like if you've got Pep Guardiola, who's no mug as a manager.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
not bad, I suppose.
He's not as good as me as on my Football Manager game, but
clearly not, George.
Yeah, for him to play in the big games, and I thought it showed that big game mentality, getting that second goal. Jesus banning it in. I thought I can't remember the last striker that's done that for us at a stadium like that.
No, I can't. To be fair,
Lacazette. I've watched Lacazette miss chances for fun. That might even been last season. The one I'm trying to think of.
To be fair, yeah.
Sam, do you have any comments before I come to you?
Yeah, we've got quite a few comments actually. We've got a lovely rendition of North London Forever before you even started.
Amazing.
That I won't burden everyone with, because then the 3 viewers that we have will be gone.
Who's
And
funny?
the same from Tom. Legends, glad I can make it.
Yes, Tom.
The next
Big up,
one I'm
Tom.
gonna come back to. Tom, United's just scored. He's been our own Sky Sports for us, and he loves Ray's jacket. But then on that note, we've kind of got a bit of a takeover this evening.
Yes, indeed.
Because
There he is.
our second special guest. How you doing?
What's
Yes,
his name in
I'm
sports
doing well.
entertainment?
Thank you. Yes, I'm doing very well. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bertie Wanless, but I'm known on the net as Posh Bertie. If you listen to my voice, you'll understand why. I'm from Sevenoaks. What do you expect? And I'm pleased that I'm. Although as a substitution, that kind of makes me the Kivior of this stream, so I don't really know how to feel about that. But other than that, I'm doing very well, and I'm glad I can be on.
I think I would rate you much, much higher than that.
Thank you.
You seem more of a Socrates. Right.
Wow.
I actually didn't
Fair
mind
enough, to be
Socrates,
honest.
so
I'd say Kieran Tierney, Bertie. I'd say Kieran Tierney.
Oh, thank you.
I would
Yeah.
call you more of a Mozart, a bit more Rosicky, bit high class.
Wow.
on that note, that sounds
On that, I'm
On
going to
that
try
tune.
first of all, I'm going to try and pick the positives, because I don't want to come in as cynical as I normally am.
That's
But
fine,
I'm going to
I'll
pick
do
the
that.
positives from the second half.
Yeah.
There was one, and yes, we completely folded in the second half, but it was a long time before we conceded. Teams of past sort of 10 years, that would have took them 5 minutes to fold. So that's the one thing that I'm going to take from that. I didn't enjoy the second half at all. It was
I
terrible.
thought it was brilliant, mate.
But
I did not.
the one thing that I did think was, we have been able to kind of not be in the game at all, but kind of hold out for a long time. Yes, we fluffed a lot of chances, but that's another story. Alongside the incident that I think lost us the 3 points. Not for the reasons of the person. I think just it changed the game completely. We were in complete and utter easy street. They weren't. It was silent. The fans weren't in the game. They weren't hyping the team on as Liverpool at all. So for that to be the complete catalyst, I think, to the complete change is the bit that I'm really not particularly pleased about. As much as this one player has had an amazing season, I just think, yes, it's 10 steps forward, but then that one step back.
So that's really interesting, because I was going to come to the. I'll just say it. He's probably not watching. But the Granit Xhaka and Trent Alexander-Arnold thing. I've had this discussion quite a lot. I even had it with Nick Collins on the podcast I done the other day. Like, it's for years and years. Teams, people have said Arsenal show no character. They show no fight. They show no. You can get in their face. I just think Xhaka was. I don't really think Xhaka actually done that much wrong. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold actually realised and remembered that he plays for Liverpool, and realised that all those 1,000 fans in the crowd actually were there to support him. And on that note, Man United have just scored again, so that's game over in that one. I don't know. I think it's very easy for a lot of, like, I'm not saying anyone here, but I'm saying, like, in the media or on Twitter and Facebook, just to jump on Xhaka's back straight away. He's such an easy bandwagon to jump on. For me, he's been one of the best players this season. Like,
Yeah.
And I don't know. It'd be interesting to get each of your different point of views on it, but I think it's easy to blame Granit Xhaka.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happening. It changes the atmosphere a bit, but I think the goal changes the atmosphere more than that. Just before half time. So what do you? I'll come to you, Bertie, first because you've not spoke yet.
Look, I think you mentioned how when we scored twice and the Liverpool fans turned quiet. Xhaka was responsible for waking the Kop up, which is a dangerous thing if you're playing at Anfield. He did wake the crowd up more, and after that, I think we kind of lost all our momentum, and it was firmly behind Liverpool. Now, I'm not going to criticise Xhaka as I have done many seasons ago, but because actually this season has without a doubt been his best season in an Arsenal shirt. He's actually done very well and hasn't actually got sent off yet, which is a miracle in my opinion. But I just think that he shouldn't have reacted like that, and it just reminds me of the Xhaka of old, like against Crystal Palace that one time, which just But yeah, he shouldn't have reacted like that. And the Liverpool fans woke up, got actually firmly behind their team again, and we lost all our momentum. And I think that was when I'm not going to blame Xhaka completely, as you said, but I do think it was when the winds of change were being felt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just to jump in a little bit, because the way that I think about it now, I've just thought about it. Yes, he can be blamed for losing his head a little bit in the first half, but he can't be blamed for the way that we came out in the second half and just kind of lied down to them and allowed them to play football. So he can't be blamed for that. And I think if we'd have had a Granit Xhaka 2 years ago, he would have got more than that yellow card and have got sent off. So I am trying to get somewhat the positives from it as much as I can. But yeah, ultimately it still has to be a talking point, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you for that, guys. Ray, I'll come to you. Like, is it just me? I just think that obviously them scoring just before half time has that more desired effect. I get the Xhaka stuff wakes them up, but it seems like everyone's going, or people going in on Granit Xhaka instead of or why don't you say stuff about Trent Alexander-Arnold for doing what he done? Like, what do you want him to just be bullied? Like, and for years people have said Arsenal, get in Arsenal's face, you can bully him. I've heard plenty of people say that. So Granit Xhaka, like, he didn't get sent off. Like, to be honest, I don't even think he should have been booked.
No. I mean, to be fair, what you guys have said, I can't really disagree with. You know, I think there's an argument that it could have been a foul on Xhaka. I think it was Kouyate. And then
that's not given.
It wasn't given. It wasn't given. So then obviously there is a bit of afters. In terms of Xhaka having a Xhaka moment this season, that's the first time I believe that that's happened. And as you guys quite rightly said, he didn't actually get a red card. So we can be pleased that we kept 10 men on the 11 men, on the pitch. You know, because that was a big problem of ours last season, wasn't it? Losing our discipline and having to play the game with 10 men. It did get the crowd going, and you know, when you play at a ground like Anfield, that's the biggest, you know, sin in terms of trying to get anything out from the game, even though we're in such a comfortable position. Because once they get behind their team, give that team energy, it's a very, very difficult place to go. And the goal before half time in any game, but especially that game, would have definitely fueled them. I agree. So, yeah, worst possible timing.
I do agree with what you said about the Kouyate tackle on Xhaka. Like, Xhaka's he's one.
Yeah, he was probably annoyed that wasn't given, and that Liverpool, you know, were getting the 50-50s and everything like that.
Xhaka done like a cartwheel. Like, that's like the tackle that was done on him. So it's not like
Yeah.
And that's what I think, and it's wrong, and I'll come to Johnny with this, but it's wrong. But when you're playing Liverpool at Anfield, you've got to go with the understanding you are not going to get anything from the officials. That it's that bad with the officials, even they have to elbow Liverpool players out of the way, like they did with Robertson. But yeah, like it's not. Would you agree with that, Johnny? Like officiating, getting decisions at Anfield, it's not very hardly going to happen, is it?
Yeah, I think there are definitely some grounds where decisions are more likely to go your way than not, and Anfield is one of them for Liverpool because it's just the atmosphere and the crowd. If that's on point, I think it does influence the referees to an extent. It shouldn't, but it does seem to happen, doesn't it? And the sort of Robertson incident, that was just an interesting one, wasn't it?
It's the first time I've ever heard that happen, like an official doing it to a player. Obviously, you hear about the other way around, but for me, like, so obviously I couldn't see it, but people were saying that Robertson put his hands on him first.
Yeah.
So if that happened, why was Robertson not sent off? Because Mitrovic was.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I do think players get away with quite a lot. There are quite a lot of
he was
players
sort of
who
in his
probably
face, wasn't he?
should be sent off.
And he also shouted, I don't know if anybody saw it, shouted a barrel load of abuse at the linesman before that.
Yeah, that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's absolutely fine, even though you could see as clear as day as what he was saying, and he was at the top of his voice at the linesman. So that should have been penalised before that. So
you said that on Sunday, didn't you, mate? On our live thing on Good Gathering, you said exactly the same thing. He should have been pulled up on that. Then the incident happened there. It all blew up. It all got all out of hand. Yeah, I think Robinson much. Do you know what? I never thought I'd agree with Roy Keane, but I think I'm going here. Big baby, grow up, mate. Will you?
Yeah, no, I just don't get it, Lee. To be honest, like I was like, and it just goes back to I said officiating at Anfield. You don't get nothing because I guarantee if that was at the Emirates, I'll put it out there. If Granit Xhaka did that, it'd be off, straight off. There won't be no questions answered. Just any Arsenal player, I think, this season.
And they get banned for like 10 games or something.
Yeah, no. What does he get? Like a haggis pie. That's it. Like don't worry about it. And then the assistant referees step down. Like, all right, fair enough. He has to be punished because what he's done. Yeah, but that don't happen if Robertson doesn't put his hands on him.
I think, in fairness to the official, I think he is under investigation. It would have been very, very difficult for him to be involved in the games this weekend with all this hanging above him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I just quickly we won't because I don't want to keep you guys for like hours and hours, because I could talk for hours and hours. But we'll quickly go over the second half, and I'll start with you, Ray. Surely, if Gareth Southgate is watching that game, Aaron Ramsdale has to be close to taking over Jordan Pickford as England #1, surely, doesn't he? After that performance?
Yeah, you would have thought so, mate. I mean, what I would say is that Pickford hasn't really let England down, but listen, Ramsdale is a top keeper. Distribution, calmness on the ball, and he pulls out clutch saves like he did in that Liverpool game. Yeah, he's got a bit of everything, Ramsdale, and he's got personality as well, which I think is a little bit underrated because he uses that to his advantage, and he absolutely thrives on it. And listen, he's standing in front of the away fans or opposition fans all the time, and he's getting untold amount of sticks. So yeah, it takes a certain type of character to be able to put up with that.
I listened to like an interview he was doing, and after the Liverpool game, I don't know who it was with. It weren't the normal TV people, but they were saying, like, do you feel the pressure? And he's like, no, I love it. Like, the more shots, the better.
That's what we want, though, isn't it? We want players that thrive underneath that pressure.
And I think that's
for years and years.
Yeah, it's where you get good goalkeepers. Where you get good goalkeepers is when they've had to face a lot of shots. Like he's been at 2 relegation teams. Like he's had, And that's probably why Nick Pope's so good, because at Burnley, they weren't really challenging for anything apart from relegation. And I just think that's the sort of every team who does well, like winning trophies, has an amazing goalkeeper. And I think we have that now.
Yeah, definitely. And he's still really young as well, isn't he? He could be our keeper for the next 10, 15 years. But yeah, I can just see that Arteta would have got them in at half time and probably said we're going to suffer and we've just got to soak up the pressure as much as we can and obviously try and kill them on the counter. The problem is that when you play at Anfield under that amount of pressure, it's easier said than done. And it can be very difficult for teams to get out and actually, get up the pitch.
I think people forget that not many teams. I know Liverpool have been very, very poor, but I don't think there's many teams that have actually beat Liverpool at Anfield.
Weirdly, it's only Real Madrid and Leeds that I think have beaten them at Anfield. They're having a poor season, but but I mean, the likes of Man City have lost there. United we know what happened in that game. Napoli, who are a really good team, they went there and lost. So it's certainly not easy. And sorry, I was just going to say that with the pressure that they put under you, you can be the most switched on footballer, but for whatever reason, I don't know what it is about that ground, but it just makes rational footballers just switch, doesn't it? And it's it can be really tough.
Cool. So we don't turn this into an Arsenal podcast, Johnny. I know me and you were talking last night about Mo Salah. Like his penalty was wider than my waistline.
I know how you feel.
It's not the first penalty he's missed this season, is it? Do you think it's just a dodgy season, or do you think Salah's on the decline?
I think that's quite a tricky question to answer because
that's why I asked it.
I mean, I suppose if we look at Liverpool as a whole, they haven't really been on form, have they? Which isn't going to help Salah. But I think post-World Cup, he has played a bit better and he has been scoring and assisting, but he's nowhere near the levels he was in previous seasons. Whether, if Liverpool sign, I don't know, a few more midfielders who can give them a bit more energy in the middle of the park, he can get back to where he was. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but he shouldn't be missing penalties like that. So that was just embarrassing, wasn't it, for him?
I'm trying to think, who's the other team he missed against? Bournemouth, wasn't it? Yeah, So he's gone from the high pressured situations in a massive game against Arsenal, missing, and then Bournemouth, and I think they lost because of that, didn't they?
They did one there.
Yeah.
I think both penalties would have been levellers as well, so there was that element of pressure on it. I don't know whether that has a factor, but
maybe I don't know. It's an interesting one. Like I'm not discrediting that Salah's not a great player because he's probably one of the Premier League greats, but it seems like I've always said with Liverpool, if one or two players are having a really bad time with it, the whole of Liverpool does. So just to end that, I think Arsenal fans will be relieved to see the end of Bobby Firmino. If I don't ever see him again, I'll be relieved.
No kidding, mate. No kidding.
But do you have any comments, Sam?
Yeah, I was just going to butt in before two of my closest go off the stream, and they've commented. So I've got one saying they're called Live VAR for a reason, and that, by the way, the referee from the Liverpool game is to face no charges for that clash with Robertson with a at the end.
Right.
Okay. Well, a bit like Andrew Robertson's faced them.
And then this one I'm going to have to be helped out with from Tom. I'm glad he got in the smashed in the face if he didn't have a chin like Jimmy Hill.
Do you know who Jimmy Hill is, Sam?
No, that's what I need help with.
I can help you there.
Go on.
Jimmy Hill was one of the game's greats. He used to play for Fulham. He had a chin that went from about here, so from where I am to about 2 feet underneath me. He was also a match of the day pundit for a long time. He was a legend, was Jimmy Hill. He also ran the line for an Arsenal game, I think against Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, as a proper linesman. So that's who Jimmy Hill is. So yeah, if I could, help you out on that one. I find it a little odd that the referee has had no charges. That's a bit odd. I would have thought, well, I mean, actually, maybe Robinson went down like a sack of potatoes, perhaps, but
no Kieran Tierney, was he?
Exactly, he wasn't wearing short sleeves with the snow, was he?
Yeah.
But no, that's a bit of a strange one. I will say, I've never seen an assistant referee linesman get involved so physical with someone like that. That was a strange one.
Danny Dyer was the assistant referee. That's what it'll turn out as, or something.
Exactly.
Quickly, before we move on from the Arsenal game, I'm going to do a quick fire thing. So just one answer. Apart from the obvious, who was your player of the match? And I'll start with you, Bertie. You can't pick Ramsdale, that's obvious.
No. I'll go with Jesus. It was good to see him perform well for 80 minutes now, and until he went off, because whilst he is back from injury, he's not been properly 100% fit. So it was good to see him play for a vast majority of the game, and he did a fantastic header. And of course, Jesus risen on Easter Sunday. As we've mentioned time and time again. So, Jesus with the man of the match for me. Second man of the match behind Ramsdale, obviously.
Yeah, that one. Lee?
I'll give Martinelli a shout out then, just because I thought he was fantastic on the wide left, and he scored a wonderful goal to start things off so early. I said sort of pre-match, I thought it was so important to silence the Anfield crowd. And after 7 minutes, he managed to do that with a wonderful goal. And yeah, that's who I'll go for behind the obvious Ramsdale.
Sam?
I'm going to go Partey.
I thought we was just sticking to Brazil then.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Partey because the easy option is Martinelli. But if it wasn't for Partey, I think we would have conceded a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. Johnny?
It's a tricky one.
As a neutral.
I could say Xhaka, but he livened the crowd up and got Liverpool playing well. That's good for me. But I think I'd go for Thiago because I think he brings a different dimension to Liverpool, and that's what they've been missing.
I do agree with that. I think when Thiago plays, you see a different type of Liverpool. Ray?
I would go Gabriel at the back. I think he was absolutely immense.
Glad someone picked Gabriel because I was waiting.
Yeah, mate, he was absolutely immense. I mean, we talked about Salah not having the best game, and to be honest, that's because he was in Gabriel's pocket for most of it. You know, when he has to cover the space that Zinchenko vacates, it's so underrated, mate, and he's really, really improved. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic, and yeah, he's an absolute monster for us. So yeah, I'll give it to Big Gally.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, to think how much we paid for Gabriel, for me, he's easily now
crazy
80 million plus for us. If you're paying, if you're paying that sort of money for Harry Maguire, no offense, Gabriel, I just think he's amazing. He's not had a bad game for me for a while, or when he makes mistakes, he normally resurrects them as well, and so I just think he's brilliant. Like when you've got Gabriel and Saliba net like them two, but I even think Rob Holding had a decent game, to be honest. I know.
Rob Holding was brilliant as well. Apart from the penalty, he was brilliant.
Gabriel, I think, is amazing, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, I guess to counter that, when you have to play with Rob Holding as well instead of Saliba, there's a seismic gap between the two. So to adjust really well and kind of not let that bother him, that shows the ability
definitely.
of him, I guess.
I think how old Gabriel? What is he? 24, 25?
Yes,
something
like that, yeah.
Like he looks like all he's going to be doing is getting better and better. Like I can't remember. Ray Parlour was saying like player at these ages, like they're only still young, and the difference between Arsenal and Man City is that the Man City players have been through these experience moments, like the difficult times, but like these big grounds, where the Arsenal players, the youngsters, are learning as they're going along. Like the only ones who have had title ambitions or been there is Zinchenko and Jesus, like in the Premier League. So I think that's something that, like I've always said, if you said to me that we'd be 6 points clear in April for the title at the start of the season, I'd say I need to be sectioned. I would. It's just no Arsenal fan would have believed that. But have we got any more comments before we move on to the next game?
Yes. Just before we move on, I'm curious. Lee's going to have to leave us in a sec. So I just want to pass it over to him really quickly, just to say his little bit.
Thank you very much, Sam. Much appreciated. Guys, it's been great being on the stream with you. Very much unexpected, and really, really, really appreciate your time. You can find me, as my Twitter address is just there, at Goonerly Mead. You can find me, Posh, and Sam at Gooner Gathering as well. And hopefully we can see some of you when we do the live watch along on Sunday for the West Ham game.
Yeah, give them a follow, guys, if you can. If you get and good channel, and just continue to back them, really. And thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, George. Mate, it's been lovely speaking to you. It's been absolutely forever since we've spoken. So thanks, mate. It's really good to see you. I'll catch you later. All right, I'm out, guys. Cheers.
Nice. Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Right, we'll move on to the West Ham Fulham game. And we'll go to Brett. No, joking, Brett. So, Johnny, West Ham Fulham, you'd think the way the form table's been going, you'd think Fulham would have that, wouldn't you? But for me, I don't know if you agree, but Fulham without Mitrovic are just blunt.
Yeah, Mitrovic kind of was their main talisman, and I think before his suspension, Willian and him were kind of linking up reasonably well together. He was having a bit of a renaissance, Willian, but then he got suspended as well. And I think without him, Andreas Pereira, who was having quite a good season, he has stepped up a little bit, but I don't think he's playing as well as he was earlier on in the season. So I think Mitrovic missing is massive for them.
Problem with Andreas Pereira, I think he's done really well. I think it's a great move for him from Man United, but he can't really do it on his own, can he?
No, he definitely needs support around him, and Fulham can't really offer that at the moment. But I think they'll probably be safe.
Yeah, Carlos Vinicius. I really don't think you have it, mate. But but that might be because he used to play for them lot. So, Ray, I'll come to you. Obviously, West Ham got the win. A huge game for them. What? I've had this conversation. I've got family members who support West Ham, and we have this conversation. And the question, I'm like, why are they so bad this season? Like the players they've got are not. They shouldn't be where they are. But a lot of West Ham fans are saying Moyes has got to go. Do you think along that same sort of concept?
I don't, to be fair. I think Moyes is doing a good job at West Ham, and I'm not even like taking the mick or anything. I just think they're having a bad season, and to be honest with you, mate, I can't really put my finger on why they're having a bad season. I know they brought Danny Ings in now, who is a goal scorer, but they just look really blunt up front before they've done that, and they're just making stupid, sloppy errors, in a lot of games. Either the one tonight, the goal they conceded, really well taken goal, but certainly preventable. So It is strange. Listen, if a better manager could come along, then I think West Ham probably should upgrade. But I don't understand the stick Moyes gets, because he has got them into Europe. He has got them a run in Europe. And like I say, I know that they're struggling this year, but you would have thought with that win at the weekend over Fulham, that might be them just about safe now. I think they probably need one, maybe two more wins, and I think that would be them in the Prem for another year. So I think it's a bit harsh, but they're not my team, so what am I to say?
I think with West Ham, it's an interesting one. I don't know what the rest of you think. Like the players have got, like people like Declan Rice, Jarrod Bowen. Like I don't know, like if they do stay up, I don't see them two being there in the summer. Obviously, Arsenal linked with Rice, Bowen, Newcastle. I even saw Liverpool, but I don't see that happening. They need more midfielders, but the players some of the players that were doing so well, like Souček, Soufal, they just don't seem to be working. Sam, I saw on the best transfer hub called Twitter that if David Moyes goes at the end of the season, West Ham are going to look at Michael Carrick. What do you think about that? Not to play, the manager, I mean.
See, things like this are being banded a lot around at the minute, and I don't get it. Because the easy thing now to do is get someone in that's an ex-player and kind of put them as a manager. That's the easy thing to do. But then ultimately, you've got to realise that's the easy thing to do, because they're not as in demand. So for me, to change an experienced manager, yes, it's not going so well for them in a minute, but to change an experienced manager for a very unexperienced one, whichever way you look at it, for me, is extremely risky.
Yeah, I think Michael Carrick's doing a really good job at Middlesbrough at the moment. It's a bit like the Vincent Kompany for me. If I was them, I'd stay where they was, build their footballing manager portfolio up, and then see what happens. Just doing the assistant referee will face no action to do with Robertson, so that's official now.
Yes, I guess we're seeing it at the moment.
Go on, sorry.
I guess we're seeing it at the moment with Chelsea, that they've just took an easy option in getting someone that used to play for them, so it's very respected at the club, back as an easy option. Yes, it's to fill a gap till the end of the season, but ultimately they are still in the semi-final of the quarter-final of the Champions League, So, and obviously doing horrendously in the league, so they're not that fussed about that, but it's just the fact, that they've took the easy option again, and it's, is it wise? A bit like Patrick Vieira and the Palace situation. Like, again, I look at these things and just think, is it worth it?
See, for me, I felt sorry for Vieira. Obviously, I'll come to you in a minute, Ray. But like, he was. People say, "Oh, he had this, that." He weren't really backed for me. I don't think anyone at Palace is ever backed, unless your name's Roy Hodgson. Well, they don't even back him, do they? But like, because I thought last season Vieira was doing really well, and then this season it just didn't. And it's so easy for people just to, after one season, bang, get rid. Like, I use the Arteta example as a perfect example. If you're building a project, and you want your manager to do well, and give him time. Like the Potter thing. For me, what's the point? Like, what is the point sacking him and then bringing Super Frankie Lampard in? To kind of beat Wolves. Like, what is? Like, if you're Lampard, you're loving it. Like,
if you're gonna. Sorry, Jules, to cut you off, but if you're going to make that effort to bring Graham Potter in and back him, and get all of his staff from Brighton and whatever else, you've got to give him time. I mean, the problem is that we're talking about Chelsea Football Club, and their fan base are a bunch of spoiled babies, aren't they? So they will cry and whinge whenever they lose a couple of games, and the solution is always to sack the manager. And it really does annoy me because, you know, as you mentioned, our team, it's worked perfectly. There's been countless examples in the past. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson was given 5 years at United, and I know it was a different era, but he was given 5 years before he sort of done anything. So
even look at Kompany, like Vincent Kompany went to Burnley, like,
and this is the thing. Let him have time at Burnley, you know, and let him have a 3 or 4 season stint at Burnley. Don't just because they're promoted, and you know they are one of the better teams in the Championship. They have got one of the biggest budgets from being in the Premier so long.
Yeah.
Let him have a go there. Let him, you know, really try and build something, and then take a chance on him. I just think big clubs are trying to go for a bit of a trend where they go for these young up and coming managers, you know, just because, and then lo and behold, things, you know, don't go smoothly initially, and then they're too quick to pull the trigger. So
I would say, like, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but even with them this season, like, they've been absolutely terrible. I honestly think if that was another club, Klopp would have been sacked after that.
But it's still the wrong decision, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's still the wrong decision. Sorry, to sack Klopp. You know.
Yeah, it is. But that's what I'm saying. They're not like, and I just like, if I'm being with David Moyes, I've never seen David. He's done a good job at West Ham, but now I think it's like one of those times, you know, like when the end of the season, if he keeps them up, if he wins them the Conference League, go out on a high, and then if they want to build a project, then look at someone like, I don't know, like, he's not blessed with options, and people laugh at me when I say this about who West Ham should go for, and it's Pochettino, like, because I'm not, like, none of these top clubs want him anymore. Like, he's like one of those people that he was used to, like, going out to the harvester, but now he has to sit in the corner at the Wetherspoons. Like, he can't. Like, if Tottenham say they don't want you, then you know there's
you must be bad.
But yeah, Johnny, talking about West Ham going forward, do you think they'll stay up?
Ooh. I think they have a few 4 nice-ish games in their run into the end of the season.
Yeah.
I guess if they take points from those ones, they should stay up. But it's hard to say. They kind of go one week, they can be solid. The next week, they're very leaky. So
yeah, I agree with
I
that.
want to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure that they will.
I think what saves West Ham for me is that there's about 4 or 5 worse teams in them.
Well, Southampton are definitely down, aren't they?
Like teams like Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Leicester. Like,
Leicester's an interesting one. Whether they can.
It would be interesting how Dean Smith does, wouldn't it? To be honest, like if he wants to do his new manager bounce this weekend, I would completely appreciate that.
Yeah, please, Dean Smith, please. I'm even supporting John Terry this weekend. Come on.
Yeah, that's how bad things get. That's how bad it gets. So is there any comments, Sam?
There isn't. I'm just going to jump in, and we have another person leaving us. So I want to just pass it over to him for 2 secs because he has something to say about Chelsea before we leave.
Well, I was gonna wait until if you were going to talk, but I was just going to say, basically, I know they won't, but they deserve to get relegated, in my opinion. I think Todd Bowley is useless as an owner. I think getting rid of Thomas Tuchel was pretty much suicide for them. And they've got no transfer policy other than let's see what other clubs are doing and just hijack them and throw money at them. They've got a team that doesn't gel together. There is no project, I don't think, other than just get all the players and just put them in the team. And it's just not worked. And they get rid of Graham Potter and bring in Frank Lampard, who was trying to avoid relegation with Everton. They're in absolute shambles at the moment. I say that, they'll probably smash Arsenal in the next few weeks. But
No.
I was just starting to like what you were saying there, and then you just lost me, just that last bit.
I fingers crossed they will not do that. But
maybe a Bamiyang can play in that again.
Also, I will say, if West Ham get relegated, then Declan Rice needs to come to Arsenal. So
I think if, on a serious note, I think if West Ham go down, and I hope they don't because they're a London team, so I'd rather all the northern-based teams go because they ain't got so far to travel. I think if even now for the price tag I'm seeing like 80 million for Rice, I think that's ridiculous personally. But I'm not paying 60 million plus for someone who's been relegated. But that's just me. But I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that's the going rate, to be honest, mate. You know, if he's worth 80 million, or that's what they say, then
Thanks to Chelsea.
unfortunately we're going to have to, thanks to Chelsea and United, you know, buying players at stupid prices, you know, it's ruined it for the rest of us. But I mean, if they are relegated, then there would certainly be room to negotiate, I believe. But you know, that's the price. I think because he's an England international, even though he got relegated. I mean, look at Aaron Ramsdale; he got relegated twice, and you know, he's phenomenal for us. So I know it's different and it's different position, but you can see quality players.
Cool. Is there any comments, Sam? Or
there isn't. Appreciate you coming on, Bertie.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and lovely to meet you.
Yeah, lovely to meet you, mate.
You as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
See you later.
Yeah.
Take care, buddy.
We will move. It's like changing rooms in here, isn't it? We was going to have Connor, who supports West Ham, come on, but he's had to go because family stuff. So he'll come on to the next show. Maybe if we do a review when Arsenal smash West Ham. I've said that live on YouTube now. I've just realised that. So we'll move on to the next game. We are going to talk about the VAR, the people that pay for VAR, Tottenham against Brighton. But what was the other game we were going to talk about, Sam, before that?
Leeds Palace, but that was a complete tonking.
Yeah. We'll talk about Leeds. That kind of worked for me with Palace and Leeds. So I'll start with you, Johnny. Like, obviously, we were just saying about Vieira. Obviously, Hodgson's at Palace. They won 5-1, but mate, I think me and you could have probably scored against Leeds. What sort of direction do you think Palace are going in? Because Hodgson, what's he about 104? Surely ain't going to stay on past this season, is he?
Yeah, Palace is a bit of a strange one because when Hodgson left the last time, they brought in Vieira to try and go in a different direction. And I think last season it was kind of working, but I think when they lost Gallagher at the end of the season, that was a big miss for them because he kind of seemed to be the piece that fitted it all together. So I don't know whether they could sign him next season or if he'd go there, I don't know. But I think it's tricky for them because they've got good attacking players, but they're not very clinical, are they? So if they could get a decent striker in, they probably could try playing more attacking football, but I think they need to be cautious about it because otherwise they end up getting sucked into the relegation zone. Yeah. But I don't think Roy will be there next season. I think they'll go for somebody who can bring a bit more attractive football to them. Although in Roy's defence, I will say this: his football, I don't think it's quite as boring as he's labelled with, but it's not as exciting as other managers.
No, I think he just gets the job done mostly with Roy Hodgson. It's like he's not known as that attractive flair football, but he plays more exciting football than Antonio Conte. So, and that's not even I've always said that about Conte. Everyone said that he's an amazing manager. Yeah, he is, but mate, the football he plays is absolutely boring. It makes me go, I can't see it. I'm not even joking. It's just boring. Even was it Juventus he was at before he went to Tottenham, wasn't it? Was it or Inter Milan? Sorry,
Inter Milan.
It's just boring. But Ray, obviously, Johnny, going on from Johnny, he was saying about Palace trying to go in a different direction. I think they might because obviously Zaha's leaving at the end of the season. What do you think? What would you say is realistic ambition for Palace next season? Because they're obviously going to stay up now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll stay up this season. It's difficult because Zaha's been such an important player for them over the years in the Premier League that when he does go, it's going to be a big transition. I see the likes of their Eze's and Elise's getting linked away as well. So if they was to sell them, then I think it would be a real struggle for Palace.
We were linked with Elise, weren't we?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, so I mean, it's a player I certainly take, but you know, we'll have to just kind of watch out for that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Palace, to be honest, I think just next season, just again more of the same. Just try and stay up and finish as high as you can, sort of mid-table. But again, it depends on the manager they bring in. I think Roy Hodgson suits a certain type of club, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all. But you know, those sort of clubs that are going to stay away from the relegation zone and into mid-table, I think he's perfect for that. But as you mentioned, he's about 208, isn't he? So he can't go on for much longer. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, when he was manager at Liverpool and the England manager as well, you know, he just wasn't able to get the top players to perform, was he? So it'll be an interesting one. I was sad to see Vieira go. Obviously, we are a bit biased, aren't we? But you know, it just obviously wasn't working. And unfortunately,
I don't think he was backed really. Like he was he even had to come out and say that I want this sort of player. I want that. Like, he didn't have a striker. Like we'd see, like they got Mateta. No offense, he's not good enough. Then Hudson Edouard from his form did not come with him from Celtic. Like he was banging goals in for fun up there.
Yeah.
Like,
and Johnny makes a good point about what's his name, Gallagher. You know, because he was a massive player for him, and if they could have spent all their budget on him, then who knows what their season would have been. But...
No, they're positive. Like you think the positive performances with Vieira there was with Gallagher. So I don't know. Like if they had a striker, I think like, I've watched Palace play a few times this season. Like when Vieira was there, when he wasn't, and. All right, people can say, well, they managed to score 5 against Leeds, so why couldn't Vieira get that done at the same time? But that's completely different. For me, anyway, it'll be just will be interesting to see who they actually try and attract as a manager. And then I think that answers your question: what sort of direction they're going in. Sam, I'll come to you. So obviously, Leeds got absolutely walloped 5-1. Not a very I think a lot of people thought it might be a bit different with Javier Garcia taking over. Nothing seems to really change from when Jesse Marsh was there.
Yeah, I don't, to counter kind of all of the points in terms of Palace being safe, I don't think you can actually say that yet, because I look at the table and there's 5 points between the first relegation spot and them. So that only takes a game or two to then be back in that picture again. So I think from them down, no one's safe at the minute.
Chelsea will fall into that soon.
Yeah.
They still need 40 points, don't they? So,
I think it's paying off for them slightly, this change, isn't it? But I don't think it's still right, because then they've got to rethink things again next season. So again, it's that kind of short-term fix. But then they've got to rethink it all again, because dependent on where they finish, of course, depends on who they can attract. Nobody wants to come to a team that's just stayed up or has been fighting for all of the season. So, yeah, they're all fighting for their lives at the minute. So, come the end of this game week, it could be a completely different story. So, I've never seen it like this. The bottom half of the table at this stage of the season.
It's mad, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Well, I would say it involves Palace, Leeds, and all that. Like, I understand it for them sort of teams, like the short-term fix, because, like, realistically, who's going to want to come in during a relegation battle? But for a team like Chelsea or Spurs, I do not understand it one bit, because if you can't get who you want to get in now, and even though we all hate Spurs, they're still a top 6 club. They've been in the Champions League. They ain't won nothing for about, I don't know. I think I had eyesight then. About 15, 20 years, whatever it is. But they're still, as an attract, take Levy out of it, there's still managers out there that probably would take that sort of job. Or even, and it's definitely the Chelsea one. So I think it can cause more damage. I don't know what you guys think about that. Like short-term fixes for them sort of teams.
I think they are, yeah, and I think they're getting a bit of a reputation for top coaches to go there, get paid well, not do well, and then get sacked and get a good payout. So yeah, I can't stand both them teams, but they need to be a bit careful that the next manager they bring in, the trend doesn't continue where they just go and get a big name to appease their fan bases. Don't back him or don't give him what he needs to succeed or the time he needs to succeed. And then just, financially pay them loads of money.
So like what you said though.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. What direction, like we're saying, what direction the Palace going in? You can say the same thing about Spurs. Like they brought in 2 world-class managers who have done nothing for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, if Kane goes as well,
yeah, that's huge.
They're not only looking to replace a manager, but you're also looking to replace, their all-time top scorer. That's easier said than done, mate.
Yeah.
I guess it's just doing though. I guess it's just going with the current curve, isn't it? That they see managers getting sacked left, right, and centre. So that's just the normal. It actually takes someone to take that risk of the not normal that can either pay off or not, but you reap the rewards if it does pay off. So it's all down to like patience.
Right. You're right there. Like if Leicester, for example, Dean Smith keeps them up, he'll get that job, won't he? Mm-hmm. Realistically. And same with trying to think who else they've got a manager. I say Leeds, even though because originally Garcia was meant to be coming in just to the end of the season, but now apparently he's going to stay longer. I don't know. It's an interest. I think for the lower, and I don't mean disrespect with it. I think for the lower teams, I can understand the short fix,
the bounce.
The main manager. But for teams like obviously I know we're talking about Leeds, but Chelsea, I'd be so. And I know I've had this conversation with you, but I'd be so thinking, what the hell is going on? If Chelsea can't attract who they want now, why? And people saying, "Oh, we'll wait till the summer." Well, what are they waiting for?
Do you know the thing is with Chelsea, because they buy so many players for such a large amount of money, and then they bring them in, they have a manager that's going to work under them, and then all of a sudden, however many months later, he's gone, and they have to start again. It's a recipe for disaster. I think someone mentioned about Todd Bowley not being able to run a bath earlier on or something like that. But you've just got to realise that if you're going to bring a manager in, you have to back him. And you have to give him time, and you have to let him work with his players. And it takes time to get players out. Because they've got a 35-man squad, Chelsea. So every match day, whoever's their manager is going to, annoy 20-odd players because they're not playing. You need a season or two to get them all out and bring else you want in. It's
upon watching stuff yesterday as well. That's the same situation that we're going to be in. If after this season we can't bring in exactly the players that we want to after this season, then we're going to have to start looking at the bigger picture again. And I don't want to have to open that can of worms again. But it's a bit like us, isn't it? We've now got the biggest chance of continuing the form that we're in currently and progressing that into a squad that we feel comfortable with and is not stricken of players, which we are still at the moment. Then we haven't got a better time to sort that out now when we've got Champions League football to attract. So we then need to be kind of looking again if that doesn't happen. and we don't get exactly who we want.
My only thing with
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah. Also with that, the other side of that, I think if Arsenal can get rid of the fringe players that we don't want at the club, like to say, like your Cedric, your Pepe's, probably either Tavares. I don't see him having a future there, to be honest. Like them, Maitland-Niles. Like people forget he's still actually an Arsenal fan. And then we've got youngsters that can come on and fill those gaps. And I think with Arsenal need a bigger squad. And my only criticism with Arsenal is that we can do well in one thing at a time. We can't do so. You don't see us going far in a like Carabao Cup or an FA Cup or even Europa League. It's just maybe it's just not for us. But what I mean with that, like, so you've got, say we bring in three, like, because I only think we'll bring in 3 players in the summer, personally. So, but we don't need to go out and buy 6 or 7 because we've got youngsters coming through, like Balogun. If he didn't play for Arsenal and wasn't on loan, I think on all these things they'd be saying Arsenal should go for someone like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I also think we need to take Trossard as the example now, and realise that we've got our project players now.
Yeah, exactly.
And we need to pad that with experience that is quite happy just to play in cup competitions. And you put that and you speak to them about that before you go for them, or it just needs to be padded with that experience now that in the second half of games that can either keep you a lead or change it.
And that's what City do, don't they? Like, like they've got players that probably like Mahrez don't start every single time, and people forget Mahrez is 32. He's not young. And they've got Gundogan, he's 32. So these players, like Arsenal fans can say, "Oh, but they're old." And so what? Like, they don't. They do a job.
I hear what you guys are saying. I kind of disagree about bringing in players as bench players or backups. Obviously, they need to understand that's where they'll start, and they have to earn a first-team place.
I think they'll be competing for the like.
But that's what I want. I want, competitive players that will come in and try and take the shirt off the player in front of them. That's how you get a bigger, more competitive squad. That's how we're going to improve in cup competitions. Because
now you look at Trossard; he didn't come in to be.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So when we are playing in the cup competitions, we're not just bringing on players that are, quite happy to be here or just, here to sit on the bench or back up. No, they're here to try and earn a spot in the first team, and they'll, do everything they can in the chances they get given. So,
I get that bit. I just guess that. I guess that you can tell. I guess the player that we want then to put both our answers together, it is a player that's happy for that to happen, but always in the back of my mind is willing to show that shouldn't be the case. So that's the player that you want, which is how
very difficult to do, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how Trossard came in. I think, though, I think he came in with that. Yes, I potentially, when Jesus is back, I'm going to play second fiddle. But when he's not there, I'm going to show you what I'm made of. So then I'm in the picture as well.
So,
I agree with that.
Right, we'll move on to the last game, and then we'll quickly go through the preview because we've overspoke quite a lot about that. Johnny, I'll start with you. Obviously, Brighton Tottenham battle for top 4, I'd say. And it was absolutely ridiculous. I'll leave it with you. VAR.
Yeah, this was one of the most, I suppose, chaotic games of the weekend. I mean, where to start with it? I mean, there was the penalty that should have been for Brighton. I don't really know why that one wasn't given, to be honest.
Was that was the Matoma one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Matoma one where someone stood. I can't remember who was it who stood on his foot. Well, he had his foot stood on, but that wasn't given, was it? And even with VAR, it was silly they didn't go back and give it.
Højbjerg it was.
Højbjerg, yeah. And then there was the handball goal, I think, that was ruled out. But Not really sure whether it should have been a handball or not. I don't really like the handball laws at the moment. They're a bit funny, aren't they?
I don't understand them personally, to be honest.
No.
Like, how are you meant to hide your arm? Like, if it's in an awkward position, like, you can't chop it off, can you? Like, when you jump, your arms move. Like last time I checked.
Yeah, when you jump up and down, your arms go with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure who came up with this rule. I suppose at least the rule has been applied consistently most of the time, which I guess is one positive, even though it's a stupid rule.
Yeah.
And then I suppose if you want to look at Spurs, Harry Kane kind of conjures something from nothing again, like he's been doing all season. The Spurs haven't created, well, they barely create any chances in any games, but he always seems to score. And Son, don't really know what to say about him. He just kind of scored a
forgot he was
worldie
there.
for his 100th goal, but he hasn't been that good this season like Tottenham, has he? So they were very lucky to win that game. Brighton, very unfortunate not to win, or at least come away with a point. And I'll leave somebody else to talk about the touchline incidents.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing us onto that, Ray. Like Johnny said, the VAR decisions. Well, there weren't none, was there really? But and then we had the touchline ban where I thought WrestleMania was last week, but like it was probably better than the main event of Roman versus Cody. That, but like, it was just mad, wasn't it? Like, because I was listening to it on the radio, and then they said, "Oh, the Tottenham manager and De Zerbi have been sent off for basically having a bust up."
It was pretty much first thing as well, wasn't it? It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, the whole VAR thing in that game was an absolute shambles, wasn't it? You know, it's been brought in effectively to eradicate clear and obvious errors and make the game clearer and easy to understand, and it's just done the complete opposite, isn't it?
I feel like they're making more, to be fair. Like,
yeah, and I mean, when you've got, you know, technology and you've got, you know, added assistance from Stockley Park or whatever, there's just no need to keep making so many errors, you know. I feel really, really sorry for Brighton, actually, and not just because I hate Tottenham, but, you know, they were really hard done by.
Apparently it's the fourth time they've been done this season.
Yeah, 4 apologies they've had, so, you know. Unless they give
for them, because they would have been 1 point behind Tottenham then, and they would have
been,
they could have got into the Champions. I'm not saying
and
they
they've
would,
got a game in hand as well. So
yeah,
exactly. So it's massive.
I mean. It's just ridiculous because these decisions, and then they apologise. Well, it don't mean nothing. Your apologies mean nothing.
Yeah, unless they give you a point for every apology that you get, then what's the point, you know?
Like we've had one, Man United have had one, Brighton have had 4. Like,
yeah, we've had 2, mate. We've had 2 apologies this year. Yeah, one for Martinelli's goal, or not, wasn't given, and then the Brentford.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, it's not just one apology. Oh, it was an honest mistake, whatever. But the amount of apologies there's been, it don't change nothing. And they're big decisions. They're not in a horrible way. I know every point's important, but these decisions are in these massive games like Tottenham, Brighton. For me, at the moment, you probably couldn't get a bigger game position like in the table than that one at the moment. Like, and it's huge. Like, and I don't know.
Yeah, if Brighton miss out like from European football by a point, you know. It's almost, you know, unforgivable. Like I say, you can make mistakes, but when you've got the technology in there, and it's not like it's just been brought in this season, it's been here for a few seasons now, isn't it?
Didn't Aston Villa stay up on the VAR decision as well?
Yeah, was it the goal that the watch didn't go off or something when it crossed the line? Or
and that's what I mean. So it's not just a now problem, is it? Like, I can't remember who got relegated instead.
Was it one of the Sheffield teams?
Sheffield United, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like on that, and like that's huge. You know what I mean? Like on that mistake, Like
Once you go in the Championship, mate, you know it's not cut and dry that you come straight back up, is it? So
well, no, you look at some of them teams in the Championship. You got like I know Burnley are up, but Sheffield United, Norwich, Watford. Don't worry, I'm not just naming your teams, Johnny. Like even like Blackburn, like you go back through the years, some of them are like old Premier League teams, so it's not easy. Like, but they can apologise as much as they want from me, but it means absolutely nothing. And I know people can say, "Oh, swings and roundabouts," but it shouldn't be swings and roundabouts. Then, if their VAR's in to do that, it shouldn't be making those mistakes. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, it moves really well into this comment. The idea of VAR is good, but unfortunately, people running it aren't standard. The amount of times we've said this just on this channel, and the amount of times I've said that, I feel like a robot saying it again, but it just is. But I do think the less we talk about that one team on this channel, the better.
What's wrong with Brighton?
Not Brighton.
I'm joking. Aston Villa. Yeah.
But I would propose that we go into the preview for the rest of the weekend because of where we're at. We'll go around, I think, and just give a winner and a score.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Good with everyone.
All right, sounds good.
Do you mind reading them out, Sam? Because I can't remember who's playing.
Good. So the 12:30, Villa and Newcastle, with Villa at home. We'll start off with George.
I think Villa might do it. You know, like they've been playing really well. But I'm gonna go Villa 2-1.
Cool. Johnny, gonna go to you next.
I'm going to go for the opposite to George and go 2-1 to Newcastle. Their defence is good enough to keep the score down.
Ray?
I would agree with Johnny, but I'll go 1-0 Newcastle.
Mm-hmm. Valid enough reasons. I'm going to go with a Newcastle 2-1, I think.
I completely forgot that. I didn't even realise that Villa were 5th in the league.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Well.
Yeah, I was like, where did they come from?
So where they were last season, when that was one of the games I got to last season, and to where they were last season to where they are now is just mental and shows how mental this whole league is.
I think Ollie Watkins is so dangerous, like with his form at the minute, and all their players just seem to be hitting for. I think they could do with another playmaker, like someone who's going to change in big games. I think that's why they bought Coutinho, wasn't it? But it's not really worked for that. But Unai Emery's doing his stuff.
See, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because you've got two players there that really should work in that team and just don't, with Buendia and Coutinho. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But then, as we've seen this season, it's just more than quality players in the team. It's everyone coming together, isn't it? So, but next up is a really interesting one, I think. As we've just been speaking about Brighton, Chelsea and Brighton, because
part of Derby,
Brighton are going to be out fighting big time. But so are Chelsea as well, after getting mauled the other night. So this is a really interesting one. Probably the game of the day for me. Ray, I'm going to go to you first. What are you thinking?
Brighton battered them at the Amex earlier on, didn't they, in the season? I think it will be a 2-2 draw, personally. I think Brighton will get a result, but Chelsea won't lose. So, don't have the goals, so 2-2.
Johnny?
It's a tricky one, this one, but I'll go 2-1 to Brighton. Chelsea will keep on losing.
George?
I have to agree with Johnny. I think Brighton are going to be like a wounded animal, like because of basically being robbed. There's no other word for it. And I just can't see Chelsea scoring. That's more what it is for me. So I'm going to go 1-0 Brighton.
I'm going down the middle of everyone and going 1-1 Chelsea Brighton because I think it's just going to be. I think there's a lot of cards in that dishing out because both teams are just going to be
They
completely.
ain't scored for 4 games.
So no one's back in Chelsea then.
No.
It's just going to be both just fighting and scrapping because yes, Chelsea haven't got anywhere to go in terms of.
Well, they've got a season, have they? Really? But their season's finished in the league, so they're probably not. Like we all joke, they're not going to get dragged into the relegation stuff. But
the last thing they kind of want is to go from now till the end of the season and not win a game because then you've got the whole manager issue, you've got the whole fan issue, and you've got the whole everybody taking the mick out of you issue. So that's 3 things that come together that they just won't want.
They ain't scored for 4 games, have they? Well, so they've got that's. I can't believe we're having this conversation about Chelsea after all the money they've spent, but it's just crazy. I just think Brighton. I'll give a lot of. I think Brighton deserve a lot of respect, and I think if Arteta hadn't done so well at Arsenal this season, De Zerbi contender of one of the managers of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can win their game in hand against Man City as well, Brighton.
I'm not asking for much.
So next up, Everton Fulham. This is a less tasty one. I think this is one of those games that's going to drop out into nothing for me. But what's everybody else's view? It's going to go Ray first.
Is it at Goodison Park? Sorry, Sam.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I reckon 2-0 Everton.
Johnny?
Yeah.
0-0.
George?
Agree with Ray. I think it'll be 2-0 Everton. Sean Dyche masterclass. I think Fulham are they're on the beach already, I think.
Yeah.
Fulham lost Mitrovic for 10 games. It's like a quarter of a season pretty much, isn't it? To lose your best players.
And they've lost William as well, haven't they, as well?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
1-0 Everton I'm going with. So next up, Southampton Palace. Southampton being the home team. George?
1-1.
Johnny?
2-1 Palace.
Ray?
I've
just got a weird feeling for Southampton, and I don't know why. So 2-1 Southampton.
That's why I couldn't pick Palace because I just don't. Southampton get points when you don't expect them to. Against City, they didn't actually play that bad until the second half.
Again, it's
as soon as the goals,
isn't it? Like they're both fighting, completely just fighting. I see it draw 1-1. The next one, I'm going to start myself because I'm hoping that Bournemouth beat Tottenham 46-0. It's very unlikely, but that's my prediction. Ray, what are you going with?
Do I go head or heart? That's the thing. If I go with my head, I'll go 3-1 to that lot.
Mm-hmm. George?
47. No. If it is 46-0, I need to know who's scoring most of those goals so I can bring them in FPL. No. Is it at Bournemouth?
It's at Tottenham.
That changes a lot. Unfortunately, I think they'll probably win 2-1.
Johnny?
1-0. Harry Kane scores.
But you might as well just recorded that all season.
I was going to say, just for the mention of that name, I was going to take you off. I'm just kidding. That's why I try and not say the name. It's like he who shall not be named off Harry Potter, right?
I prefer Voldemort, to be fair.
I'd rather watch Voldemort in charge than them lot. But
next one again is going to be one of those games that I think is going to drab into nothingness almost, or one team battering the other. Wolves Brentford, with Wolves being the home team. Johnny, I'll start with you.
Brentford 2-0.
Right?
I think it's got 1-1 written all over it, to be honest.
George?
3-2 Brentford.
I hope it's that exciting, to be fair, because that will make it decent on Match of the Day, because that's the only time I'd ever be enjoying that match. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2-1 Brentford. The last game of Saturday is a big one. We've mentioned it before, hoping for the new manager bounce. It's Man City Leicester. So, George, I'm going to start with you.
My head says 4-0 City, but yeah, to be honest, I don't see Leicester getting anything. So, yeah, City will smash them.
Right?
Yeah, I have to agree. I'll go 2-0 City, though.
Johnny?
Well, you'd expect it to be like 3 or 4-0 to City. I mean, occasionally Leicester have troubled City in the past, but I don't think they will this year, so I'll go 3-0.
Unless Vardy rolls back the years or something.
No, let's hope. Let's hope.
I am going to do this in a hope that I'm completely wrong and that Man City win 2-0 and that I'm completely wrong. But we shall see. I think it's one of those games that you never know what's going to happen, as we spoke about the new manager. And the players will be fighting now, because if they step up, those players will either be going somewhere else or staying in that team. So
Maddison needs to be fit for them to be relevant in that game.
He was awful in the last game.
Yeah.
They've got to fight for the spots, haven't they, with this new manager, because the new manager brings new ideas. So, that's what I'm going to go with. So, the big one for three of us anyway, West Ham Arsenal at 2:00 on Sunday. How is it going to be, John?
I'll stick to the prediction I made before. I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
Right?
I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Good by me. Johnny?
1-1 would be a funny result, but
Arsenal
are good enough to beat them, aren't they? So it probably should be something like 3-1 with West Ham.
I was about to say you on the finish to thin ice. But I think I'm going to go 2-1 to us. We'll make it hard.
Again.
We'll make it hard, but like we've done before, we'll bounce back, is my hope. Don't clip that for sure. Last but not least on Sunday, Forest and Man United. George, what are you saying?
58-0 to Forest. No. I don't actually think. I know Forest are really, really bad, but Forest at home are different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go 1-1 for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that thinking because it's a completely different place. It's one of the away grounds that I've been to. And it's a completely different place.
I've been there twice and we've lost twice. So I'm not.
Don't go again then.
I'm not going this season.
Luckily, I saw the win in the cup. But yeah, the times after I could have gone.
I saw the 2 defeats in the cup. The one, I think it was it. Didn't we lose like 4-1 or 4-2? I think it was under Wenger, and then when we lost in. Was it earlier this season or was it last season?
It was, because it was the last. Yeah. I'll always remember it because it was I never bet on Arsenal ever, and it was the last one because it was the latest kickoff, I believe, on that day in the cup, and it was the last one. And I thought, and I said before the match, I said, it's gone. Everyone was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's gone because I'm left down to Arsenal." And they went, "Oh no, don't be silly." And not what happened. Um, so who haven't I asked? I haven't asked Johnny how it's going. Have I? Yes, I have.
I think it would be 2-0 Man United, Martial to score.
Ray,
You ain't got anyone else.
Yeah.
I think Sabitzer
Yeah, innit?
scored tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, United are such an annoying team because you always want them to lose, don't you? But they always find a way to win. But just for sheer humour, I will go 1-0. Jesse Lingard, Nottingham Forest.
I forgot about old Jesse. Get the beans out.
I'm gonna second that and go 1-0 Forest.
Lingard will be too busy dancing.
Just
I
to
forgot
leave
about
this-
Heinz baked beans.
just to leave this video with one more game on a lighter note. So we've got Leeds and Liverpool, and I'm hoping and praying that it's. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm hoping and praying that Leeds will be fighting back from that 5-1 Palace defeat and do the same to the team playing. But I can't see that happening. But that's going to be my prediction. Ray, what are you going with?
What was the game again? Sorry.
Leeds Liverpool with Leeds.
Leeds Liverpool. Oh, I think Liverpool win 2-1.
George?
I think Leeds will beat Liverpool. It'd just be Liverpool, wouldn't it? Like put a massive result in like that, and then bottle it against someone
that's why they are where they are this season, isn't
yeah.
it? So it does make sense.
So I'd probably go Leeds 2-1.
And then, last but not least, Johnny.
Well, you didn't expect Liverpool to win this one, so I'm going to go 3-1.
You're expecting to beat Bournemouth, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, but
Yeah,
Leeds-
that's why,
Leeds
like
can't
Ray
defend.
said, that's why Liverpool are where they are. Like for me, it's like if they could put a bit of a run on, run in, they could probably have got top 4. I don't think they get top 4 now. Still, even after that draw.
There was an opportunity, wasn't it, after the 7-0 a few weeks ago, where if they just put a run together.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
Right. So we have spent longer on the reviews, but we have done all the previews now as well. So we've done exactly what we said we were going to do. So I will pass it back to George.
Cool. So yeah, we've gone through the review, we've done the preview. So thanks to all my guests that have come on tonight. I'll go around and people who are on social media can share it so people know where to find you. So Johnny, are you on anything?
I'm not on
Apart from-
Twitter, but
Apart from
thank you,
Tinder
I've
or
enjoyed
something.
it. What did you say?
Apart from Tinder or something.
But
Oh.
he kind of did deserve it after his 2 comments. So
Yeah.
I'll let you.
But yeah, thanks for coming on, Johnny. Always a pleasure, not a chore. Ray, where can people find you?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, it's Ray_Catherine. But yeah, thank you again, mate, for having us on. Yeah, quality chat, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So thank you again.
No worries. You're always welcome here. And Sam, these things wouldn't be possible without you. So really, thank you for all your hard work.
It's all right.
Where can people find you? And there is a one where the I is.
Yeah, surprisingly, he had to ask me today what it actually was, even though for the past however long he's actually said it for me. So, so it's Sam Wilson AFC with the 1 in the eye because my other account got banned, so I've got to use it like this now. Not banned. I locked myself out of it.
Oh, okay. So what did you do?
I'd say band sounds a lot cooler, Sam. So maybe stick with that one.
If you guys who are watching, hope you enjoyed it. If you could follow us at Golden Goal TV, please hit that subscribe button and like button. You can also find me at George AWFC, or for other Arsenal fans, I have started something called the Arsenal Way, which is basically a community we've made for some of us. So if you go to the matches, come and give us a follow on at AFC Way, do AFC WAY, and yeah. we will see you guys soon. Keep posted on our socials for when the next show will be. To follow us on Twitter, we have Facebook, basically everything. You name it, we've got it. So yeah, thank you all for listening, and hope you all have a lovely evening and a good weekend.
Thanks,
Bye bye.
everyone.
Bye.